Jiri Prochazka gives us his final words before fighting Jamahal Hill tonight. The Czech contender has morphed into one of the most beloved fighters in the division, and despite losing to Alex Pereira twice, he's been adamant that nothing has changed as it relates to his goal in this sport and the samurai attitude he has when it comes to competing. This fight week, fans' negative attitude towards Jamahal Hill, which resulted in the hostile reception they gave him on the press conference, boosted their support of Jiri, who became not only an entertaining fighter with interesting personality for them to cheer for, but also a guy who is fighting Hill next, who they want to see knocked out again after him pushing his revisionist perspective on his loss to Alex Pereira. Jiri will try to remind fans just how dangerous he is, and stack up performances of a kind that would make fans start asking for the Pereira fight one more time. Here's what Prochazka said hours before his fight with Hill.
Tell me what you took away from that final face-off with Jamahal in preparation for the fight.
Feel the same. Pure calm. You have to be. From the calm, you can take the biggest power. And that's it. Be nice, be easy. And with that, be in with biggest power. So that's it. That's why I'm doing all these meditates and all these things, to be controlled all the time.
Jiri, how essentially do you get this one done? How do you get your hand raised?
What one more time?
How do you win?
By knockout. First round, second round, third round. I want to look for fastest win as I can.
The new title challenger and opponent of Islam Makhachev, Renato Moicano, talks about the new fight he has got on his hands and the opportunity to capture the championship on one day's notice. This fight week has been especially crazy for Money Moicano, as he went from fighting Beneil Dariush in what would be a clash to decide who's strengthening their position inside of the lightweight top 10, with Moicano currently sitting at number 10. Now he's gonna fight for the division belt, and like all of us, he found out about this with one day to go. Renato's coming off 4 wins in a row and has been on quite of a roll this year. Well, let's just say that Tsarukyan presented more of a challenge to the champion. But with a solid ground game and a general high output, the Brazilian has some things working for him and can make this one pretty interesting. The title challenger shared his thoughts on the chaotic fight week and getting a chance to fight Makhachev in the new main event.
I was cutting weight, a few extra pounds, and I was planning to make 156, right? And then I was on the hot tub cutting my weight alone because it was very little, was not much, like a couple pounds. And then my coach called me and say, hey, you're gonna need to cut the extra pound because they're gonna need you for the 155. And I say, really? You being honest? That's true. I didn't even ask for money, talk about money, because I just feel blessed to have this journey now become a champion. But to be honest, I never really calculate to fight him because that was my plan. I was watching like the contenders first because he was a champion, but I will win tomorrow. That's the only thing that I can say to you. I feel that tomorrow is going to be my day.
Dana White reveals shocking details about the Makhachev versus Tsarukyan fight falling apart. The Armenian would-be title challenger shocked the whole community by pulling out of his championship fight one day before the event. That's how we ended up with Islam fighting Money Moicano now, but the specific reason why Tsarukyan pulled out wasn't given. There were some rumors about him experiencing some back pains and not willing to risk a more serious injury in the fight, and Dana glossed over that in his live appearance on the UFC weigh-in show when he announced the new opponent for Islam and let us officially know that Tsarukyan is out. So everybody assumed that the issue was an injury, and despite how severe it is and the discussion about his decision to pull out of the biggest fight in his career due to an injury that wasn't bad enough to force a pullout on a fighter who's willing enough, all of this became secondary as the MMA world now is getting ready for Makhachev's fight with Moicano. But in his latest interview, Dana revealed something that makes this situation much more interesting. When asked about Tsarukyan's decision to pull out, Dana said that Arman basically forced UFC to cancel the fight because he asked for $800,000 to stay on the card. This means that Tsarukyan was willing to fight injured, but tried to get more money for his effort, which Dana and the UFC weren't fans of. Here's what Dana said about what happened.
There's different ways to turn fights down. I can call and say, I don't want this fight. Or you can say, yeah, for $800,000 in a piece of pay-per-view. That's turning down the fight. Yeah, My back is broke. Oh, I blew my knee out 2 weeks ago. Doesn't sound like he wants to fight to me.
So what exactly is next for Jon Jones, and when? This question still remains unanswered, and while we've had indications that things are trending in the right direction with the much-anticipated matchup with Tom Aspinall, it's all up in the air. And considering UFC's tendency to deviate from commonly understood plans as it relates to specific fighters' immediate futures, it is not certain that the English interim champion will get his chance to challenge the GOAT for the undisputed gold. Recently, Tom has been pretty quiet regarding his commentary on the status of the Jones fight. That's one more additional factor that gives fans some comfort, who think Aspinall's silence means that there's nothing to complain about. So that must mean that UFC has made it clear to him that he's getting the title shot, and he even might know something about the potential timeline for the bout. That said, it's not unreasonable to discuss alternative options for Jones's next fight. After all, he has many times stated that he'd rather fight Pereira than Tom. Chael Sonnen talks about possibilities for Jon's next Octagon outing.
Does Jon Jones, who 4 years ago took 3 years off to gain weight because he thought he was going to have to fight Francis Ngannou. So Jon has signified and telegraphed to us, the audience, that size in his mind does in fact matter. So now he's got a guy younger than Francis, currently more successful than Francis, but damn near as big as Francis. So we know that Jon would be taking on something that in his own heart, sincerely, he has a problem with. He has a respect and appreciation for him. Okay? Or he surprises us all by cutting down to light heavyweight. He openly says, that heavyweight business, I've already been champion. I'm not going to stick around here long enough to be the greatest heavyweight champion, but I damn sure am one win away from closing the book on the idea of light heavyweight champion. So I'm going to go down there and I'm going to solidify that through all of history. That would be interesting. That would be an awesome fight. But I think that would put off the perception that he ran from Tom. As a matter of fact, I don't think it would just be a perception. I think Jon, when coming out to say why he's fighting Alex, is going to have to be very clear because I didn't want to fight Tom.